Meeting the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Euring?
Yes.
Kish? All here. We have a quorum. And I have the meeting minutes from the August 22nd, 2023 regular meeting of the Amherst Township Trustees. The meeting was called to order at 7:03 p.m. by Lynch with the pledge to the flag. Roll call, Abraham, Lynch, Euring, and Kish were all present. Also in attendance, Case Marsh, G. Lynch, and C. Nyhart. 8/6/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring, to move to approve the August 8th, 2023 regular meeting minutes as corrected. Roll call, Lynch and Euring were ayes. Abraham abstained. 8/7/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move to approve the August 8th, 2023 regular meeting minutes as corrected. Oh, I just read that one, I'm sorry. 8/7/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing with reservation as provided by the fiscal officer. All ayes. 8/8/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve that the July 2023 credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation. Roll call, all ayes. Fiscal officer noted that the payments show several Ohio Edison payments and explained again that Ohio Edison is discontinuing the master bill that included all of our parks, and we will receive separate bills for each one. Under correspondence, Trustee Lynch mentioned again that the township architect Mark Lesnier has resigned. Mark has agreed to assist us through the transition when available. There is continued public hearing scheduled for September 5th, 2023 regarding approximately 45 acres fronting the east side of Oberlin Road, south of State Route 113, from R-AG to R1. Under reports, ambulance service. Trustee Lynch noted the special meeting of the SJAD on Thursday, August 17th at 6 p.m. was canceled. Mayor Costello has put together a request for proposal regarding ambulance service for us to look over. Neil will share with the trustees when received for further discussion. Roads, parks, and cemetery, mowing and trimming and potholes. Erie Blacktop is planning on starting the milling on Oberlin Road between Middle Ridge and North Ridge next Thursday, August 31st, and will have it done in one day and then repave the following Thursday, September 7th. Had branches removed from the park that were close to the power lines and shed. 8/9/23. A motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Motion for authorization to submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission Round 38 for funding of Middle Ridge Road, TR-32 resurfacing project from Brownhelm Township line to existing pavement joint at Quarry Road. Roll call, all ayes. 8/10/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Motion for authorization to submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission Round 38 for funding of Moss Canyon Drive concrete replacement. Resolution 843-851 project. All ayes. Complaints. Complaints are being handled by the designated individual. New business. Trustee Lynch noted he received an email from EMA Director Dave Freeman regarding passing a resolution for the adoption of the federally approved Lorain County 2022 Hazard Mitigation Plan. 8/11/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Motion for adoption of the federally approved Lorain County 2022 Hazard Mitigation Plan. All ayes. Trick or treat will be held on Sunday, October 29th from 1 to 3 p.m. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, September 12th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 8/12/23, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Euring, to adjourn at 7:57 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the September 5th meeting minutes?
I have none.
I'm sorry, the August 22nd meeting minutes. So. Okay, with that then, can I have a motion to approve as presented?
So move.
Second.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Okie dokie, in front of you, you have payment listings for the September 1st through today. As you notice, again, as I mentioned, there's going to be several payments to Ohio Edison since they are all separate bills now. But nothing is too out of sorts. there. The Q lawn and service, I think that was for removal of, was that branches? Or was that the stump guy was branches? $3,003.77.
Was that for the yard cleanups?
No. It was for one of those. It was something cleanup. I don't have the stump guy was 450. That was,
Yeah, he's on here, so.
yeah. I don't have the invoice in front of me. But other than that, it is normal bills. The engineer was for restriping. And,
Yes.
yeah.
That all the roads? Kevin, restriping all the roads?
All of them that didn't get it from, previous.
And we also did receive the second half of real estate payment. So our year-to-date revenue is $1,361,345.11. And our year-to-date expenditures are $789,860.61.
We still have money going out for Oberlin Road and we'll have something on Middle Ridge,
Yeah, we're still gonna have both. We just haven't received the invoices yet.
Yeah.
One is the lead project with Amherst, and obviously Oberlin Road is us.
Wait a minute,
There's no invoice, so we don't pay till we get the
they
invoice.
didn't even started that in Middle Ridge yet.
Well, they blocked it off on the bridge, so that's because that's the county, the city, and the township are all
Yeah.
three parties of that.
Yeah, they were supposed to start yesterday.
Yeah, and Chris, because the one I had the question on was the Q1 lawn service, because I hadn't gotten through the purchase orders here, but it does say for Oberlin Road, Taylor, and Broadway. So was that going to be
That's Sam.
trimming, or those were all for the homes to get done?
Yes, we already did, what is it,
I think I
8935
took that out of
Oberlin,
roads.
front and
Come
back.
out of-
And then the other one was for 340 Taylor, and they own the lot behind, or excuse me, 340 Broadway, and they own the lot behind them on Taylor.
Okay.
Same owner, Smith.
Those are assessments, Chris, that we put on the
Yeah,
properties.
I don't think it said that on the, I'll tell you in one second.
Well, as long as the assessment's been put through, so we eventually get reimbursed.
Yes.
Fingers crossed, but I just think that came out of roads, and I'll have to make an adjustment,
Okay.
because it did,
Okay, are there any other questions on the payment listing or the other financials?
I have none.
And we'll know that, if you need to make that adjustment.
Yep,
you
I will
can
have
take
to make
care
that
of
adjustment, because I had Oberlin Road, Taylor, and Broadway, and no description on the invoice stating what it was for, so I'll have to make that adjustment.
Okay, so you'll just be changing the account, the
Mhm.
fund it's coming out of.
I have.
So the trustees understand that when we're approving it, that Chris is going to make that change. So, okay, then I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payment of the items on the payment listing with reservation.
Second,
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
yes,
And Danny?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Abraham.
Yes.
I'm like all out of sorts tonight. It's,
What are we gonna do with you?
And what's the number on that one,
that's
Chris?
592.
92, thank you.
What was it?
I was worried about that payment,
Resolution
sorry.
92.
You're repeating yourself, you're short-term. Wherever he's going, what is
Is there anything else there, Chris?
No, I'm good.
She's still grieving because Jimmy Buffett
Yeah,
passed
I
away,
am.
David.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance. If anyone has anything to bring before the board, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, correspondence, Chris?
I have none.
Okay, David?
I have nothing to bring forward at this time.
All right, Denny?
Nothing.
All right, anything I have is in the packet, except the one I didn't print here was we did receive an invite through the county for a sensible salting workshop. That's on, actually that was today, right? So you guys went, Russ and Kevin, and not only does that make sense, and it was a free workshop other than they had to travel there in their time, but we're required to have this type of education to comply with the MS4 Phase 2 EPA regulations. So Kevin and Russ were both able to make that, and probably being a rainy morning was probably, good timing. So I was concerned it's going to be a beautiful day the day that workshop's on, but, that worked out nice. So just so you're aware of it, and I mentioned to Linda and Kevin that, and Sam, you'll see this too when we get our annual report we have to submit for compliance with the EPA regulations, just to make sure that's noted in there that you guys attended that training. Okay, we'll move on to reports. And Denny, I'm going to take over for ambulance just for a moment here. I know I sent you the communication. It's just been recent. As the board's aware, we had discussed during our 2024 budget meeting that there is a proposal from Life Care Ambulance. I don't have the amount here, but I believe it was $183,000 a year they're looking at for the district for a 3-year period. That's just to maintain the services we have today. That would be apportioned out to the 3 member communities, being the city of Amherst, the village of South Amherst, and Amherst Township. Right now, the expectation is that it'd be apportioned by the number of calls per community, though that it could change. The number of housing units could be number of residents, but right now it looks like it's going to be based on the call history. But there's some question in that as to whether that's appropriate, since our current cost is actually what we physically have to pay just to have the service before any call is made. We aren't paying anything now. We used to pay, it was in the neighborhood of $30,000 when we had North Central as a service provider, and when we had switched over to Life Care because they were going to offer the service where we didn't have to make a direct payment just to have them as our primary service provider. It did require, though, when we made that change, is the fire personnel became the first responders to provide emergency first aid till the ambulance got there. Now, sometimes the ambulance would beat the fire squad, sometimes, it could be either one, but the thought process was for certain conditions like shortness of breath or fainting and whatnot, both groups go out so that you can get there knowing that whoever gets there quickest can actually help providing service, which can provide a more positive outcome for the person that's in need of help. So it did put that additional burden by getting Life Care to come in. So since this came up to the district and the district board was meeting on it, they had also gotten some proposals. They were looking at getting an additional ambulance on board and additional staffing, trying to even improve better on the quality of service and the timing of service over what we have today. I can tell you in talking with both the mayor of the village and the city that that's not going to happen. The cost was just, once you start an ambulance, you got to keep in mind it's 24/7. So it's not even one person, it's not 3 people. When you start looking at covering over all those shifts, is putting on board paramedics and EMTs. It's very expensive, and you can understand that. But what we're looking at, since it's been a while since there's been any request for proposal out there, is just testing the waters. Illyria's received a similar proposal, obviously much larger because they have a larger number of calls. Lorraine, up to last week, had not yet, but they obviously expect they're going to see something similar. So there has been meetings with the city of Elyria, Lorraine also, between district leadership just to determine, hey, what are people going to do? And at this point, it looks like they're all going to go out for requests for proposals. Lorraine and Leary had made some other potential options that are there, but Mayor Koslow, Mayor Lashinsky, and myself, who are, since our communities are in our own district, said with the timing that we have, since our current contract has already been extended a year, we couldn't even entertain the options that Lorraine and O'Leary are considering. We said we certainly would look at it in the future, but we just got this immediate deadline in place. So the request for proposal, Mayor Koslow and Amherst, and I don't know who all he worked with, so I don't want to slight anybody, but they put together a pretty good request for proposals. Obviously, they had looked at some others that are out there. They did have a copy of the one of Elyria. They tailored it to be more conducive to what our district is. That was sent to the prosecutor's office a little over a week ago. The prosecutor's office did get back today with a markup. And I just, today, Denny, I only sent it to you, so there's not too many copies going around right now. And it is a marked up copy, and it is marked draft. The current markups are just the markups from the Lorraine County Prosecutor's Office. I know that the city was sending it to their law director. I don't recall, because I don't think it came up in conversation, if the village was also. And then there was the legal representative for Life Care did contact Amherst Fire Department Assistant Chief Demakia and sent out a email, and I think you're on that email, just asking where this stands, what's happening. I think he's proposing another extension, which that also could happen. But in any case, the service is still there. It was extended through the end of this year. The timing as it stands right now, once the city of Amherst and the village get to look at this RFP with the prosecutor's markups, is they're hoping that, I believe it's in another 10 days, I believe was the timing, September 22nd, to actually initiate this, to start a request for proposal going out, and the timelines explained in that RFP as far as when they'd have to get the response back. And it's probably going to be the district deciding. Realize what complicates this, the Sandstone Joint Ambulance District themselves don't have their own levy. Each community chose if they have a levy or not. And even in some of the history, if you look back on this, it started out, it was the city of Amherst, Amherst Township, and later the village joined in. So, that's something where in the future, the district's going to have to look at whether the district has a levy or whether they keep it separate, where each individual community decides to pass a levy on their own to cover the cost. If it goes as it is currently, or if we don't get a good response as far as making sure we have no decline in the quality of service, because definitely nobody wants that. But if we don't get a better cost, we are going to have to start looking at the funding that we have in if we're going to cover this, because there is going to be an additional cost to maintain the service. So where it stands right now is Life Care's given a proposal, and at this point in time, the decision was, hey, let's go out and test the waters. So there's a request for a proposal that's being developed, that it's hoped that gets sent out this month, and then hopefully everything can be buttoned up, and it could still be Life Care, could be a different provider, is chosen to start no later than January 1st, but obviously there's the potential, based on the communication from the legal representative for Life Care, there could also be an extension on this. So I think I've brought everyone up to date. David, I've only sent the stuff, since Denny's our rep on Sandstone from the prosecutor's office, only over to Denny, and I believe what the city of Amherst rep for Sandstone is also including Denny on that. He might have included you. I didn't look at the distribution since you and I had filled in at that one meeting the one time. So again, I just didn't look at the distribution.
What was the number from Life Care that came over?
183,000. I mean, there were several different numbers, but that's the one, Chris, that would
Thank
be
you.
the current service. Okay, and that's not all just the township, that's to the whole
Right.
district. And I don't recall the exact split, but we're probably around 25% of that based on runs and the past history. Okay, so we'll move on. Our sheriff's not here. Zoning, Sam D'Ambrosio.
Yep. You all have the printout. Do we have any questions on that, of the year-to-date permits?
And then as Denny pointed out before the meeting, 39 new homes
39 new
year-to-date.
homes. Yep.
That's good, and it's nice having this report, Sam, you know, and it dollarizes everything too.
Yep.
You know, this will be good because it'll build up to give a nice, quick visual snapshot of the statistics of where we are and comparing year to year.
Sure.
Oh, it looks good.
Okay, also, I guess you're all aware of the conditional use permit hearing next Wednesday at 6 o'clock for Whiskeyville. And thought you might be interested, I have a meeting this Friday with, I guess, the representatives from Giant Eagle in regards to the get-go on the corner of North Ridge and 58.
They're looking at that
Probably.
again.
Yeah, they're probably going to do, not definitely, but probably going to do the informal next meeting, next zoning commission.
Okay.
Just to make you aware.
What was that location?
What is it? The old Golden Acres, North Ridge and 58. Across from Rite Aid.
And I assume they've been having discussions with the Board of Commissioners or Port Authority or somebody over there. 'Cause I think the Port Authority actually now is in ownership of the property.
Right.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Sam?
No.
Well, the other thing is, and remember that there was the public hearing for Cambridge development. That's proposal for the 45 acres on the east side of Oberlin Road, south of 113. Their public hearing was continued until September 5th, but they said they needed more time. So it's now October 3rd, because I was at that public hearing. I know you were too, and there were some people came up that obviously are neighbors, because they were aware at the August meeting it was continued to September 5th. Because it appeared in the public hearing, he was changing from just a straight-out request to increase the density from 1-acre lots to half-acre lots, that now we consider the conservation development, but I'm not sure what he'd be considering, because I was proposing conservation with 1-acre lots. I don't know what he's looking at. I think they'd have to look at that and see if that's economically fits what they would like to see in their business plan, but I really don't know where it's going. So just, you know, if you mark your calendar, David, October 3rd, it's just our regular zoning commission meeting. So that'll be a busy day then. You know, so you're going to have the conditional use for Whiskeyville.
Well, that's on the 20th.
That's the 20th?
That's next Wednesday.
Okay.
It's
That's on my
October 3rd?
schedule. October 3rd is that public hearing
Yes.
for Cambridge, and that's when Giant Eagle's coming in and
No, they're coming in this Friday, they
Just
wanted
to
me to
see,
give them some
talk with
guidance
you.
and just talk about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're really not, I just thought you might want to be aware, but we're not there yet.
Okay. Yeah, and then September 20th is a conditional use, and that's where, you know, the Amberry facility down here, they purchased the old Maurice Timbers property.
Oh.
So that's where they're talking about, you know, all that's coming down, and they're proposing a whole new facility up there and some outdoor recreation.
Who's doing that?
Well, it's Kevin Huffman submitted it. I forget who they had representing them as their engineer and architect. It was in the documentation.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But yeah, they ended up purchasing all that property and kind of wanted control of that since it's right next to their business.
Well, they had purchased it several years ago.
Right. Yep. Are there any questions then for Sam?
I have no questions at this time.
Okay, I do have one is, I don't know where we're going as far as an architect. I know Mark said he could help us, on an as-needed basis, but we do not have an architect right now. And I don't recall if our zoning resolution specifies a shall or a will, but either case, it's almost like whenever there is any type of site plan review, that it's going to go to the township architect, which we don't have. So how do you overcome that if you don't have an architect? I'm just asking the question because right now what I've got going on, I'm not taking on searching for the architect too.
One, you can utilize Mark on a temporary basis, case-by-case basis.
If he's available,
He
what
is
if he's not
available.
available?
Well, he said he would help out. I would think sometime during the month he'd be available. Second thing is, push came to shove, see about employing an architect on a case-by-case basis in an emergency situation.
Will you take care of that?
Look into it. Look into
Well,
it
I don't want to
best I can.
I don't want to
I
wait
have
till
been-
we're in that situation. I want to know, let's do some pre-planning now. Let's not wait till it's an emergency and have to
Okay,
go
let's
do it.
let's look at an architect. Let's see what I can find out in the next.
Okay, so you're going to
weeks,
take a look
okay?
at that.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's what I think I'd asked several meetings back. Because I did, by the way, we've checked around. We couldn't find one other township in Lorraine County that employs an architect. Just so you guys are aware, because I did bring it up, and I know you guys want the architect, and I understand that, but just be aware, we're the only ones that are doing that. So, my preference to make it easy would be that until there is an architect, this situation is resolved, and we've got an architect under our employ, is that we change our resolution to make that an option. And we can either write that leave it up to the zoning inspector, just as we have in some others where it's an option. You can send it to other professionals for help. Or we can even write it, if an architect is employed by the township, thou shalt. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Well, if we can find an architect, it would be best if we hired him.
Right, have them under the employ and know what it is,
Right.
so,
He knows exactly what he's gonna be paid. And we'll have to pay him, I would think, we would have to pay him more than we paid
Mark. Okay, well, David, I appreciate it, then you're going to check on the
In 2
architect.
weeks, see what I come up with in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'll check on that too.
All right, thanks, Denny. Okay, fire prevention's not here. Roads, parks, and cemetery, Superintendent Smarsh?
Well, for starters, we went through a little bit of a flooding issue.
Yeah. We all experienced that. It wasn't just the flooding. The problem was we went 5 hours without power if we were lucky, and the west side, some of them didn't get back till Sunday, so they had from Thursday through Sunday of no power.
There was a couple on the west side that was even till Tuesday because of their own service that went out.
Oh, I didn't know that, because I was only talking with Ohio Edison.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, but that was across the board, obviously. That just wasn't no township isolation.
Right.
They did mill off and repave Oberlin Road. They bermed it yesterday, got that taken care of. We had the crack sealer out. We've been doing some crack sealing. The mowing and trimming is obviously going bonsai because of the rain and the sun. Middle Ridge Road, there was a little bit of miscommunication. It was supposed to start yesterday, but it started today. They milled off Middle Ridge in the city limits today, and also I was out there this afternoon, and the bridge has been taken out. It's been ripped apart and taken out, so that is gone at this point. But I have some estimates for some concrete tear out and replacement. 4 of them, as a matter of fact. One at 81,900. Another one at 79,899.35. 73,557.53. And a 71,340.
79,000?
Should this be bid out? Because I'm looking at the total, all right, 71,000. Forget what the threshold is exactly for bidding out a project.
Date now, I believe, is 75,000.
Yeah, this was just changed this past year, David. I forget what the amount is. But I think you're right, Kevin.
Is
I
the
think you're right, too,
71,340 that you mentioned, is that a good, solid price?
Yes? It's a small amount.
Yeah, I would think. And how much do we have allowed? 75,000?
Well, it's in the ORC, and they did just up it.
What did they up it
Well, that's what I thought. It was 75,000, but I'm checking to see if I can find it here real quick, Danny.
Under county roads or road bidding requirement?
It'll be hard because I have to read it in my print. Well, we can check that if it's, because I think it's in section 5575.02, but I'd have to read through this. I'm not seeing the threshold levels there, so it may just, it references another section. But we'll go ahead and check that. I just say at this point, Kevin doesn't need a resolution. You'll just go with the lowest bid pending that it complies with the ORC bid threshold. What's that? No, it won't be in the policy manual. Yeah, this, so, and I had spoken with Kevin earlier on this. Our guys would be doing the saw cutting ahead of time, because if you read through these bids, you're going to see some differences in here. It does look like the one at the 71,340 is the lowest. Because I know one of the others, you have to subtract out the seam sealing, because not all of them include the seam sealing, but he does itemize the bid so you can see the differential, and his was still a little bit higher, but they're all pretty close to what they are. So, you know, pending just checking that threshold amount, Kevin, you're good to go. I mean, you don't need a resolution. It was already discussed to be put in the budget, and this would be going in 2024 or 2023.
23.
Okay.
It's something you get done this fall. All right. This is for cobblestone in Hidden Valley? Okay. Nothing on Moss Canyon, or that being held out to,
That's for next year.
for next year?
And that was put in with one of the OPWC round 38 requests, so we want to see how that goes. Anything else, Kevin?
No, that's it.
Kevin, is Darrell working 2 or 3 days a week?
Yeah, exactly. 2 or 3 days a week.
3 days a week.
Yes,
And
if it's
he's mowing the lawn.
weather permitting.
Excuse me?
Weather permitting.
Okay. And Kevin did bring up the storm. We know that was difficult for a lot of people, but I know that Kevin and Russ were out there till the wee hours. I understand you didn't even go home after that. At least I went home, went to bed. After the power came on, we could drain the basement, but we're still cleaning up. But it was difficult for a lot of people. I know there was some frustration when people had to put stuff out to the curb, but just so that all the trustees are aware, I know you were seeing different emails going back and forth, but Rumpke did step up to the plate on this. They held to their agreement. Our agreement talked about the one bulk pickup a month. They did cover that, up to 2 cubic yards. I know what I saw. They took some people that just threw stuff out there in a pile that heard the agreement. They didn't have to pick up, and they did. When I spoke with Joe Schofstall, our rep from Rumpke, he still insisted on all the soft goods, like some mattresses and furniture, that they should wrap it or their guys wouldn't pick it up. And some people did wrap them in plastic, some did not. But I think really the drivers probably made some of that decision on their own, because from what I saw, they picked it up. And Rumpke stayed out on the regular pickup day on that Tuesday till the guys, they have max hours that they allow them to go. Once they hit it, they had to go back, but they came right back Wednesday. They just said, have people leave the stuff out. I know Linda and Morgan tried to communicate that with people that call in. Anybody that called me, I let that know. But, it's hard. I don't know if you put something out on, you did on the social media, but you're not going to reach everybody. But most people, once they drag that stuff out, aren't going to drag it back into the house. They're going to leave it out. But Rumpke did go back out, and they cleared everything out. So, that was a good thing. Kevin's mentioned how the yard waste pile here at the township obviously saw much heavier usage during that time.
True.
I know we had branches down all over. I know our neighbors that have tree lots ended up with tree service coming up because it was way too much for them to get through. The west side, Ohio Edison, even though the National Weather Service never said there was an official tornado, they thought it was the way some of those poles were snapped out there. And so they brought crews in from out of state to try and get this thing redone. But it wasn't until, again, Sunday that they had power going to the area. So it took a lot longer than anybody expected. But again, there were poles down, and I know as I was hauling stuff out our yard, I saw the crews running back and forth on Oberlin Road. I didn't understand why they were using Oberlin Road, but the subcontractor that Ohio Edison used, there were usually 3 vehicles in a row, and I remember telling Georgianne, I'm standing out there, and I said 6 of them went by in that time, and I assumed they were finally finished up. But obviously they had one of the trucks with the augers on it to put in the new poles out there. So in reality, people cleared it up pretty good. I know some people wanted to have a disaster declaration. David Freeman from Lorraine County Emergency Management kept us all informed as to what that would take, and the reality is that's really not going to happen. That would have to come through the governor, from the president. You've seen some other larger disasters around the nation that are probably getting more attention than this is going to get. But Kevin, I'm sure you've extended a thank you to Russ too, and it's always difficult. Move on then to Senior Service Township Administrator Linda Ashley.
First thing is Medicare's open enrollment begins October 15th through December 7th. That's typically a busy time when the seniors come in and they want to do the comparisons. So I would say to anybody that wanted to do a comparison to, give me a call and schedule something. It takes typically 45 minutes to an hour.
What date does it begin, Linda?
That begins October 15th.
Thank you.
And runs through December 7th.
Don't wait till the last minute.
And yeah, people do, but it's okay. So that'll keep me busy for a little bit of time. I have not heard anything on the OPWC Round 38s, the 2 applications that we put in. I'm expecting to hear something from the engineer, giving me the approval to go ahead and put it into
Put it
the
in.
WorkWise site, because we always have to wait for their approval. Morgan's working out well. She's been doing a lot of filing, creating folders for a lot of public hearings. We found that we are missing a lot of paperwork for public hearings and things. So she's been organizing all that. Pretty soon, we're going to start creating a worksheet for the variances that we have. We have a whole drawer full of variances, and since they follow the property, we don't know currently who has a variance and for what. So if somebody has a garage that had a variance for the setbacks, we don't know. If somebody called up and said, hey, my neighbor's garage is right on the property line, is that okay? We have no idea at this point whether or not they received a variance or not. So hopefully with the spreadsheet, we'll be able to just sort and file and look it up. That's our big plan. Other than that, we have the shredding day is October 21st, I believe. That's the date. And they'll be here from 9 to 12. And we're going to
Still
have them
looking
across
for
the street.
volunteers?
Nope, I have enough.
Okay.
I have enough volunteers.
We'll
They'll
be
here-
there, but we'll be bringing
October
stuff to the shred.
15th.
I'm sorry?
15th?
The 21st, the Saturday of dumpster days. And it will be across the street.
Do you know, I think I'd asked Georgianne, will Lorraine County Solid Waste District provide some signage at all so we get people going in the right direction?
I don't know that for sure. I'm going to touch base with them within the next couple
Hopefully they have
weeks.
a nice sign to put up so we don't have to put anything up.
They had a shredding in Oberlin this past weekend, and I seen there was signs up. Not saying that they're the ones that put the sign up, but there was kind of strict signage for shredding.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll check on that
Okay.
and make sure and coordinate all the volunteers and all that good stuff.
Once again, shredding is the 21st of this month,
October
October the 21st.
October with the dumpster days.
Yeah, so if you have anything to get shredded, get it done because they'll be here. The newsletter that you've just signed will post the hours, but if the truck fills up,
Yes,
once
exactly.
it's filled up, they're done. And that'll tell us too, if it gets overloaded, they might be willing to give us more days in the future.
Right. But as of this point, that's what we've got scheduled. And potentially, we'll do it again in April when we do our next dumpster days, but we'll see how it goes this time
Right?
and how it all works out.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not raining.
Then we put on raincoats.
Yeah.
And then as far as the assessments that I was telling Chris about today, we did have some yard cleanup done. It was quite costly on a couple of the properties. And I did send that over to Renee Smith at the auditor's office to put the assessments on. And she did respond, she wanted the ORC, so I know she did get them in the mail.
Okay, good.
But then Chris, you said we got some property tax monies. We'll have to see if we've been paid for the previous ones. We have not, okay.
Yeah, we do. I appreciate you keeping tabs on that to get reimbursed. These ones should be better because it's not a home that's in foreclosure. Many times
Yeah.
we've lost because the home's in foreclosure and the timing, then it sells before the assessment gets put on.
That's why we're trying to put them on as soon as they come in. We're sending them out.
But we probably won't even see it till maybe this time next year.
Right, but if it goes into foreclosure and it's already on there, or if
Right.
they sell it and it's already on there, then we should get paid.
Right.
So that's why we're trying to do it fast.
But it wouldn't be till March or August
Right,
next year.
and that's why I was asking this one, because the ones we put on last year.
Yeah,
But there's a couple that
nothing.
one property is behind in taxes. So we'll keep it straight.
All right, thanks. Anything else then, Linda?
Nope, that's it.
Are there any questions for Linda? All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the complaints that are still open. Let's see, I think is this done now, Sam? This would have been then the one on Broadway that's just mentioned at 341? I
Yes.
take that off then?
340,
340, yes.
yes.
I'm going to take that off. The next one, David, this is the request for a street light
I'm
at,
still waiting for an estimate back from Ohio Edison. I'll
okay,
bring that forward. Until I get that, it's just kind of on hold, but I will do a follow-up. They indicated toward the end of the month, and that would have been the end of August, and now it's the second week of September, so I
okay,
need to follow up on that.
okay. And the next one, this is with Mr. Johns with a bad odor on Old Meadow Ridge. I know you've already taken care of this, Sam. The only thing is, I was going to call Mr. John, just say, hey, have you noticed you don't smell anything anymore?
Last time, I called him, and he said he would call me if he smelled anything. I also sent Rachel from the health department over there, because I went down and talked to, not Mr. Bourne, but whoever the manager is, twice, and they didn't do anything. But since last week, Rachel from the health board went down there, I haven't had anybody call me since, because they were texting me at night, they were calling me at night, several neighbors. So I haven't heard anything for a week and a half, 2 weeks, so I'm assuming maybe she got their attention.
You want me to leave it open? Do you want to call
Maybe.
Mr. Johns or
Well,
what?
I did call him, and he said everything was good then. So I haven't heard from him since, but I did call him, yes.
I'm just thinking, since it started in July, if we call him now and everything's good, we'll just close it.
I'll call him again.
Okay.
It's not just him, though. It's a couple other people that constantly call me. They got my cell number somehow.
Okay. Well, he was the only one that I was aware of that had an official complaint.
He's the only one that came down and put it in writing, yes.
Yeah. And I think some of the other neighbors, he had said some of the other neighbors had it, but I think they were reluctant to write up a formal complaint.
Yeah, they just prefer to call me and text me.
Yeah.
9 o'clock at night. They're usually drinking when they call me. In fact, they've invited me down for a beer.
Yeah.
You want to come smell it yourself? I'm like, no, I'm good.
Well, and I can tell you that I have ridden over there, but like they said, it depends which way the winds are going
Yeah, I
and
haven't.
whatnot, and, so, it's not like I'm staying there for hours like they are out on their decks and porches. So.
Right.
Okay. The next one, this is a new one. It came in through the website, and Kevin, this one's actually going to be for you. I don't know if there's anything we can really do here. This is for Brenda Sadowski down at 214 Rustic Hill Lane, just talking about water must be settling in her front of her drive, and if there was anything that could be done for drainage. I know there's storm sewers down there.
There's even curb drains that run through there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into it a little bit
It
further.
was
see
just
if
when I
some-
was down there was just one little low spot. She did have a little water, but it was nothing
No,
huge,
no.
I mean, it's not like some of the intersections we have, where they're at, where that water always settles, and it'd be nice to have some drainage in. But, okay, if you look at it, but I'll just leave it on here till you get some sort of resolution, because she did put this in writing to bring it forward. Okay. All right, as far as the items that are assigned individuals here on their unfinished business, is there anything to bring before the board?
No, I have nothing.
Okay, David?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, there is a need for a executive session for potential litigation, and I will need Linda and Kevin there. Sam, you won't be required, I don't think, right? And, it won't require any type of motion here, but the trustees may have a document that they need to sign. So I'm going to make a motion that we enter into executive session for ORC Section 121.22 G for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action. This actually will will deal with a non-compliance with a lease agreement. That'll be my motion.
I'll second that.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to make a motion that we come back out of executive session at 7:52 PM.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Okay, anything else to come up before the trustees? And I know Joan Whitman has something.
Okay. Hi, my name is Joan Whitman. I'm a resident here of the Amherst Township, have been for the last 50 years. A long time. If I'm wrong, and this is the wrong time to bring it up, please let me know. I was wondering about the trustees. In November, when we do our voting, are we voting for new trustees? Or
Yeah.
are trustees coming up for reelection?
Yes, there will be one trustee
Yeah.
position coming up, the position
fiscal
David
officer.
holds.
Yeah.
And then in 2025, Denny's position and my position will be up. So that's just the way it works, you know, so there'll be a spread. So this one will be for one trustee and one fiscal officer for this November.
Yeah.
And are there new people running for these positions, or are they,
There are, and they're listed on the Lorraine County Board of Elections.
okay,
So if you check that, you'll see who's on there.
okay. Is there any chance that they could have like a town hall meeting so that the residents of the township could meet them?
They might
To
be
find
able,
out their qualifications and what's going on?
that'd be nice. I can tell you in the times that I've run, the only time I had that opportunity was actually Fireland Schools had one on, and they invited everybody that was running to come in, and the public was there to ask questions. But that's the only time in running for trustee I ever had the opportunity to go up and speak. And at that time, there were other positions open and levies on, and people seemed more concerned with discussing, you know, financials, levies, where it might cost them some money. Then there were very few questions on the trustees. It was kind of like you introduced yourself and people looked at you and said, okay, I heard enough. I want to talk about these levies.
Okay.
But I'm not aware of anything. I don't know, David, if you're aware if anyone's putting anything on.
I've heard nothing.
Okay,
I've heard nothing. It's been fairly quiet.
But you probably will get the League of Women Voters or the
Or
Chronicle
things like that.
Telegram.
Questionnaires, I presume they'll come out,
But not
I've
everybody
heard
fills
nothing.
them out. I can tell you, I've always filled those out and sent them in. They usually only ask when there is competition, which there is. I don't think there is for fiscal officer, is there, Chris?
No, there is not.
So typically, they just ask if there's competition, and they give set questions, and people fill it out. And if they meet the deadline, they print it in that flyer and send it out. But if you don't get that paper, you know, you don't get the information.
Okay. Well, that answers my question. I just want you to know that Oberlin Road is really nice.
Good, yeah. So they'll be traveling fast again, right?
And I mean, the drivers love it because they can just speed right down
I
that
mean,
road
they'll
and not
be
worry
traveling
about the
fast
holes.
again.
And also, when we were without electricity, I was about 3 days without electricity.
Oh, on Oberlin Road. I
Yes.
didn't get that from Ohio Edison.
But I do have a whole house generator, so it
Oh.
did kick on. But Ohio Edison texted me every day to keep in touch with me, to let me know what was going on.
Oh, good.
And when my electricity came on at 12:50 a.m. on Sunday, they texted me and asked if my electricity was back on. So they were very attentive about it. I mean, I had no problem with them whatsoever. They were right there asking all the time.
See, that's when I was talking, because I was actually talking with the rep that we have. We Never mentioned anyone on Oberlin Road being out that long. I know we had some in Hidden Valley, obviously Oberlin Road. On my section, we were out, but we were only down for 5 hours and it came back.
Myself and my son, we were both 3 days without electricity. But like I said, we both have whole house generators, so,
Yeah, it's great.
yeah.
Wish I did.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joan. All right, we are going to have to go back into executive session per ORC Section 121.22G3, regards for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending and imminent court action. Again, this is in regards to lease agreement. That'll be my motion.
Second that.
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Euring.
Yes.
All right, I'll make a motion that we return to the regular meeting from executive session at 8:12 PM.
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham, Euring.
Yes.
All right, is there any other business to come before the board?
I have
Yes.
none.
Yes, Kevin?
Just real quick, I wanted to put out a special thank you to Erie Blacktop for the job they did on Oberlin Road. So busy. You know, everybody knows it's such a cut through, and they milled that off in one day, kept the traffic flowing. Then when they paved it back, kept the traffic flowing. Nice, tight pave they put down. It's just an excellent job. And I let them know that as well.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Let the trustees see him, you can let them know that. Okay, anything else?
That was Erie Blacktop?
Yes, it was.
Okay, if nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Don't move.
Second?
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Okay.